found him a spider and sat down beside her and scared the living shit out of her.
Welcome to In Defense Of, making the case for overlooked, forgotten or derided movies in 5 minutes or less. Don't have 5 minutes? Here's 5 seconds. Today, In Defense Of, The House on the Edge of the Park, a 1980 exploitation flick far more troubling in its themes than is usual for my videos. Be warned, this is a challenging one.
Shall we finish the round?
Well-to-do couple Lisa and Tom invite working-class Alex and Ricky to a party, where the wealthy hosts mock and tease their guests. Unfortunately for them, Alex is a rapist and murderer who has no trouble turning the tables and executing a vicious retaliation. The video nasty ordeal of the early 1980s saw a lot of titles banned and made illegal to distribute within the UK. Some are pretty silly, their inclusion on the list a tad risible. Some are works of genuine artistic merit that didn't deserve to be there. But some of them are troubling, and even if you oppose censorship in any form, you can at least understand the BBFC's concerns. House on the Edge of the Park is one of those movies. Before the opening credits have even begun, Alex has raped and murdered a victim with a smile on his face while a sort of nursery rhyme plays throughout. This is a movie where a character uses her sexuality to tease a man and ends up raped for it, which he then seemingly enjoys. This is not a comfortable watch. Its tone is relentlessly violent. The questions it poses have no easy answers. Films of this lineage do tend to have good defeats evil endings. Both Last House on the Left and I Spit on Your Grave see their sadistic rapist murderers defeated, a measure of retribution achieved by the heroes. There are no heroes in House on the Edge of the Park. Our rich kids are cruel to Alex, and especially Ricky, whose simple-mindedness is exploited, turned into a sort of performing monkey. What we have is a room full of nasty people who've locked themselves in with someone far, far nastier than them. You can imagine that the yuppies have partaken in this sort of interclass mockery before, but this time, oh boy, this time they done messed with the wrong people. And it is satisfying seeing Alex take control of the situation and retaliating against these snobby bullies, up to a point where you remember that he's a monster. Then House on the Edge of the Park crosses the line. A teenage neighbour, Cindy, knocks on the door and enters the fray. She's innocent. She has done nothing wrong. And for this, the movie cuts her to ribbons with a straight razor. This is a film which pits a confrontation between social classes. It awards moral superiority to neither side, and violence between the two seems almost inevitable. Cindy belongs to neither side. She does not belong here, and her torture is nothing less than pure sadism on the part of Alex. What makes this all the more troubling is the way it's intercut with Ricky being seduced by Gloria and a reprisal of that lullaby. Narrative cinema is supposed to guide us into feeling a certain way. Seemingly consensual sex between kidnapper and captive, mixed in with a teenager having her clothes slashed off with a razor while a gentle song called Sweetly plays. What are we supposed to be feeling here? Like I said, no easy answers. One thing is for sure though, this establishes the rich kids as the de facto heroes. Not through their own actions or any heroic or even respectable behaviour, purely through the monstrosity of Alex. Even after Alex and Ricky are dead, the film gets no more comfortable. Tom and Lisa reflect on the entire ordeal, contemplating that perhaps they enjoyed it in some way. This is coming from Tom, whose face has been well and truly smashed up, and Lisa, who has been sexually assaulted more than once. This idea is unexplored here, but well covered in other controversial output like Straw Dogs and Crash. But Jesus, let's lighten things up a bit. This is the film debut of the wonderful Giovanni Lombardo Radici, one of the most recognisable faces in Italian exploitation. Think of any Italian B-movie director. Deodato, Margheriti, Fulci, Lenzi, Suavi. GLR has worked with all of them. He's great here as the simplistic Ricky, and he has an actual arc. Blindly following Alex's instructions, abusing the power he holds before realising that he's hurting people and turning against his friend. He's the closest thing in this flick to an audience surrogate.
Shit, you can really handle things, Alex. I've never had a friend like you.
I'm going to avoid the obvious suggestions and go with The Guest. While inspired by Halloween and The Terminator, it has the House on the Edge of the Park's dynamic, where the main character is sometimes the hero and sometimes the villain. You're never quite sure whether to root for him or not until a line is crossed. It also features a superlative soundtrack that combines 80s goth with modern day synthwave.
I mean, they make an asshole out of you while you dance, and they get off on it. She does it now you get me, now you don't in the shower.
If you've not seen The House on the Edge of the Park, right now either your interest is piqued or you know that this film is not for you. The reasons to watch it are also the reasons to be shocked and repelled by it. It's a picture like no other in the ambiguity it offers the viewer in their interpretation of the sex and violence it presents. This is an uncompromising and challenging piece that isn't for everyone, and a far more thought-provoking movie than James Furman's BBFC would have had you believe. No discussion of The House on the Edge of the Park is complete without talking about David Hess. He played another vile piece of work in Last House on the Left, 8 years prior to his appearance as Alex, which is almost entirely predicated on that initial role. What's fascinating about David Hess is that he was originally a musician who found himself writing songs for Elvis Presley and Pat Boone in the 1950s. Who was the top-selling musician of that decade? Elvis. Who was second? Pat Boone. By the end of the 1960s, Hess had risen up the ranks to be head of talent acquisition at major label Mercury Records. So, why the hell did he pack that in 1972 to play a sadistic lunatic in a cheap exploitation movie? I don't know, maybe the story is out there somewhere, but I don't know. Maybe he saw something in a first-time director who had never seen a movie himself until the age of 18, and a producer more known for porn. Maybe he knew those guys might go on to do something of note.